The 2022 NBA trade deadline has passed, and it was an exciting one. A lot of big moves have shaken up the league, especially for some of the premier playoff teams looking to get to the very top. And there is a lot to be talked about with these moves, but there are still a couple deadlines that will affect the league before we head into the playoffs. The deadline for a team to buy out a contract to send a player into free agency so that they can play in the playoffs is March 1st. And the deadline to sign a free agent and have them available for the playoffs is April 11th. So what is going to happen over the next week is a small but not insignificant pool of mostly NBA veterans on bad teams are going to relocate. And that is what I want to talk about here today. We're going to rank the top 10 best players in the buyout / already in the free agent market heading into the end of the regular season. These are the guys who actual playoff teams would love to add to fill out their team's depth chart. Now, I do want to chime in before we get going though with a disclaimer. I do not really see any of these guys being huge impact players. Think about it like this. These are the best win now players who no team wanted to trade for. Like, they were not even willing to give up a single second round pick to bring them in at the deadline. Still though, there are always diamonds in the rough. So let's talk about those potential diamonds. At number 10, I have DJ Augustin. At 34 years old with 13 years of NBA experience, Augustin is the oldest guy I have on my list. But don't let his age scare you off. Augustin has never been a player who relied on his athleticism or speed. At a generous 5'11", he has crafted out a long career by being a team leader and floor general. His playmaking IQ is very high, and he still is shooting the ball pretty well from long range. He was actually shooting 40% from 3 prior to the Rockets waiving him earlier in February. I'm not saying he would start for any playoff team. I'm not saying that about any of these guys. But as a backup, there is not much more you could ask for. Teams in the playoff hunt who I think could use a backup point guard include the Phoenix Suns, who recently just lost Chris Paul with an injury, but also the Mavericks, Lakers, Hornets, and Wizards. At number 9, I have Meyers Leonard. Some of you may hate this man, but I'm just gonna go out and say it. The hate Leonard has received over the past year is overblown. He did say an offensive slur while playing a video game, and that is not okay. But come on guys, he has apologized profusely for his mistake, and his actions ever since have spoken louder than words. Some YouTubers jumped on the bandwagon of hating him because they simply do not like the guy, but I don't think this should end his NBA career. Leonard is one of the strongest 7-footers available, and he shot over 41% from 3 in each of his past 4 seasons prior to being booted from the league. That is useful to just about any playoff team. There is a reason he was a rotation player and at times a starter with the Eastern Conference champion Miami Heat a couple years ago. He deserves to be in the league right now. At number 8, I have Derrick Walton Jr., currently balling out in the G League, putting up an impressive 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 10 assists a night, while shooting a killer 53-41 split. Walton is too good to be in the NBA's minor league. Though he has very little experience with an actual NBA roster compared to most guys on this list, I think he may be a better option than most point guards available. At only 26 years old, Walton doubles as not only a useful third option point guard for a playoff run, but also as a long-term potential piece. Basically any team that could use a point guard, especially those lower in the playoff picture, I think could use him. At number 7, I have the people's favorite, Tacko Fall. You may think Fall's pro career is a bit of a meme, but I would have to say that you are wrong. You are flat out wrong. Fall had a very hard time getting on the floor this season in Cleveland, given that he had the guys like Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and Lauri Markkanen in front of him. Plus, the Cavs have been really good, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But Fall can play. In the G League this year, he has dominated with an average of 12 points, 10 boards, and 3 blocks a night with a 73% field goal percentage. And I know he didn't play much with the Celtics, but in those 2 years, his per 36 average was 14 points, 14 boards, and 5 blocks. Now please keep in mind, I'm not picking any of these guys to start for a playoff team, but as a third string center, aka the backup center when someone is hurt, Fall does the trick. Teams like the Timberwolves, Clippers, and Raptors really could use him. At number 6, I have Derrick Favors. As of me writing this all down, Favors has not yet been bought out of his contract, but given the fact that the Thunder are at the bottom of the Western Conference standings and he is a veteran role guy nearing the end of his career, I think it makes sense for him to be a tag-along to a good team. Favors has always been a modern-day center in a 90s power forward's body. He is strong, he can rebound, and he can finish around bigger men at the rim. But at only 6'8", he can't protect the rim, nor can he space the floor. Still though, as a backup 5 against other teams' smaller lineups, you could do much worse. Favors' strength and ability to move with the ball in his hands gets him lower on this list than someone like Taco Fall, but not by much. I think a Utah Jazz reunion makes the most sense, but any team in need of a backup center could use him. At number 5, you may be surprised to hear this, but I have Nick Stauskas. You may think Stauskas has had his chance in the NBA and he's all washed up, but I think quite the opposite has happened. Now at 28 years old, Stauskas is hitting his stride in the G League. On 6 attempts a night from long range, he is shooting 41%, while also putting up an average of 21 points a game. His defense may not be good still, but I don't really watch G League games, so I can't verify that. But he is shooting the long ball at an elite rate, so I think he deserves to be on a playoff roster. Plus, his playmaking ability has also improved. It isn't much, but 4 assists a game is more than just an anomaly. He is a better player now than he has ever been. I think literally any team could use him as a third-string shooting guard. At number 4, I have Langston Galloway. Last year with the Suns, Galloway did not have many chances to get on the court, but he definitely was next on deck in case he was needed. In the little bits of court time he did get, he looked fantastic. I think Galloway may have the fastest jump shot release in all of the league, while also shooting 42% from deep with the Suns. Plus, though he did not get to show it off much, his passing ability is much better than I think most people realize. Galloway has not been able to hang around on a team this year for very long, which kind of perplexes me. I think most teams could use him as a third-string 2-guard who can hit a 3 or 2 off the bench in limited minutes. I don't see why he is currently a free agent. I wouldn't mind seeing the Suns bring him back. At number 3, I have rockin' Robin Lopez, one of the few golden era Suns still in the league. Lopez has hung around longer than I bet a lot of you would have expected, but that's because he does the little things that helps his team win. He gets along very well with his teammates and coaches, and his locker room leadership is better than most people realize. He is an anchor on the defensive end, and though his offensive ability might be narrow, he has some skills that are always going to be useful to a team. He has not yet been bought out, but he definitely should be sometime soon. Again, I wouldn't mind seeing the Suns bring him back for one last playoff run, but they already do have 3 good centers. Any team that needs size, I think, should bring him on. At number 2, I have one of the most interesting NBA players available, and is Freedom. We could talk for a very long time about the basketball player formerly named Enes Kanter, but I know most of you don't want to hear it. China, Turkey, and Russia are a few of the many countries committing human rights violations that the United States is ignoring. In fact, since I've written the script and since I am recording this video, Russia is now officially invading Ukraine. Yet no one in the NBA is speaking up about it, which I find funny because most NBA players claim to be advocates for social justice, but as soon as it starts to affect their bottom line, they shut up, and it frustrates me. I'm looking at you, LeBron. But looking at the basketball side of things, because that's what this channel is about, Freedom is a very good low post scorer and rebounder. 2 years ago, with the number 6 seed Portland Trail Blazers coming off the bench, he averaged 11 points, 11 rebounds a game with a 60% field goal percentage. He could not get on the court with the Celtics due to his poor defensive ability, especially around the perimeter, and that team just having really bad defense in general. But there are many teams that could use an offensive-minded backup 5. I think he deserves to be signed, so I think this is the ultimate test to see if he truly is going to be blackballed by the league. Well, not the NBA exactly. I don't think the NBA is blackballing him, but I think the owners who don't want to put themselves in any awkward positions where they could miss out on China money might not want him. So let's just see what happens here. And finally, at number 1, I have Gary Harris. He was once one of the league's most promising young talents back in 2018, but after a few years of mediocrity, most fans have forgotten about him. With the Magic alongside Robin Lopez, Harris has got his groove back. He is currently putting up 11 points a night, shooting 38% from deep. Of all the players on this list, that is the highest current season scoring average. And he definitely is not Orlando's #1 option. He is sharing a crowded off-ball role with young up-and-comers who are getting the emphasis of the action, RJ Hampton and Jalen Suggs, as well as a fellow veteran, Terrence Ross. But I have a feeling if he were to have been given the same role he had back in his Glory Nuggets days, he would be right on track with where he should have been at this time. Harris is someone who could play big minutes for a playoff team right now, and I look forward to seeing him get bought out and signed to a contender. So there you have it, my top 10 buyout / free agent candidates right now who could be the difference makers come playoff time. I would love to know what you guys think of my list. I have a feeling there are going to be some very strong opinions down in the comment section about a few of these guys, and I welcome the conversation. Please like the video if you have not already, and of course, subscribe for more basketball content. I'll see you all next time.